So in this video, we're talking about applied conversions, in particular, using conversions with some geometry stuff like perimeter and area. So let's do a quick refresher of perimeter and area. This is stuff from middle school that you should be familiar with. Perimeter, just add up all the sides. So like for a rectangle, do 8 plus 3 plus another 8 plus another 3. Add up all those sides. For a triangle, just add up the 9, 12, and 5. For area, with a rectangle, it's the base times the height, or you also might call that the length times the width. Same thing. In this case, it would be 8 centimeters times 3 centimeters, which gives you 24 centimeters squared. It's centimeters squared because you do centimeters times another centimeters, which is centimeters squared. For a triangle, it's always half of that. It's the base times the height times a half, or divided by 2. So in this example, the base would be 12. The height is not the 9, it's not the 5, it's straight down, so the 4, and then times a half. Oops. So that would be 24 units squared. Okay. So now let's do a little converting. On this example, we've got a square with side length 1 yard. So if there's not a picture drawn out, you may want to go ahead and do that, especially for you visual people. It's good to underline information or highlight or draw a picture. So let's draw a square. Oh, that's a bad square, sorry. And it has a side length of 1 yard. Since it's a square, they'll all have a side length of 1 yard because they have all the same side measurements. So if that's a yard, this is a yard. I want to know the area of the square, but be careful. I'm finding the area, but in square feet. And this is in yards. So here's what you want to do. You want to convert these to feet first, then find the area, because if you don't, you're going to get a little tripped up, and I'll show you why. Here's the wrong way to do this. This is not what you want to do. If I found the area first, I would do 1 times 1, which is 1, and then I'd be like, oh, there's 3 feet in a yard, so let's just multiply that by 3 and get 3, and that's my answer. That is incorrect. Don't do that. What's actually happening here is each of these yards is 3 feet. So think about breaking up this yard from here to here into those 3 feet. There's 1 foot, and there's another 1 foot, and there's another 1 foot. So you've got 3 feet in a yard. Same thing over here, 3 feet in a yard. What is the actual area of this thing? In yards, it is 1 yard squared. It's a yard by a yard, which is 1 square yard. But if we look at the feet, we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 square feet. So that's what our answer should be when we're talking about area of this thing, is 9 square feet. So what went wrong here? What actually happened is we did 1 times 1 and got 1, but we actually have yard times yard, which is yards squared. So when we convert that, what I want to do is change yards to feet. I know there's 1 yard to every 3 feet, but this doesn't cancel this. A yard and a yard squared don't cancel out. Think about a yard squared is actually 2 yards. It's a yard times a yard. And so in order to cancel this, I need another yard down here. Now this is yard squared, and it will cancel out with this yard squared, leaving me in feet squared. This is where the 9 comes from. 3 times 3 is what gives me the 9 feet squared. That was the really complicated way to do it. That's why I suggest convert these to feet before you even get started, and then you won't have to worry about all that mess. It's kind of interesting, but it's easier to not mess with it. So If I were just to convert 1 yard to feet, I know that in 1 yard, there's 3 feet, and 1 times 3 is 3. Same thing here, this is also going to be 3 feet. And now that I know that this is 3 feet by 3 feet, I'll just do 3 times 3 and get the area I wanted, 9. And feet times feet gives me feet squared. Just to be clear, square feet is the same thing as feet squared, just written the other way. Also, fun fact, it's literally called squared because it makes a square. If you do like any number times itself, it makes a square. Kind of cool. All right, so let's try one with perimeter. Perimeter doesn't get as complicated, but since you're already in the habit, you may want to go ahead and just convert everything first to what you want, then find the perimeter. A right triangle, let's go ahead and draw our right triangle. Remember, that's a triangle with a right angle. The legs are 3 meters and 400 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the triangle? That's my goal, but I want it in decimeters. This is already getting complicated with the metric system, so I'm going to go ahead and write down King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk in case I need that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn these into decimeters. This is a meter, which is the base unit. Deci, by the way, is this one. That one's deca. So if I'm going from meters, the base unit, to decimeters, that's 1 step to the right. So the easiest way to convert this is just to move the current decimal 1 place to the right. That makes it 30. So this is now 30 decimeters. Also, just for the record, this DM usually means decimeters. Decameters are not as common, but I think the abbreviation for that is decameters, like DKM. All right, this is in centimeters, and I need it to get to decimeters. So centimeter to decimeter is 1 step to the left. So I'll move the current decimal place 1 step to the left. So that means this is 40 decimeters. Look, it's kind of like a smiley face. All right, so now I've got 30 decimeters, 40 decimeters, and I want the perimeter. The perimeter is add up all the sides, so how am I going to find this third side? Good thing you spent most of 8th grade doing this. This is going to be our good friend, the Pythagorean theorem, because anytime you have a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem. So I know that this leg squared plus this leg squared equals, I'm going to call this h for the hypotenuse squared. If you do this plus this, you get 2,500. And to get rid of the squared, we'll square root. And so that should be 50. Since these were in decimeters, this is also in decimeters. And now I can find the perimeter by adding up 30 plus 40 plus 50. So the perimeter is 30 decimeters plus 40 decimeters plus 50 decimeters. What is that? 120 decimeters.